All right, folks, we decided to make a second video today. It's a daily space weather supplemental. So today's coronal mass ejection forecast was fulfilled. Once again, no solar flares necessary. And so we saw no less than 2 coronal mass ejections, and the event may not be complete yet. We could still see additional coronal mass ejections happening. Here's a bit about what we're talking about. So here's the sun in 304 angstroms, ionized helium emission spectra. And we see 2 different spots where coronal mass ejections have happened. One down here, and that one will be headed almost directly towards stereo A. In fact, we're expecting a strike at stereo A. And this one here, expected to miss Earth to the west. Here's some additional data about that. And for that, we'll head to both Lagrange point 5 and Lagrangian point 1. So at Lagrange point 5 is where we'll find the stereo A spacecraft, and at Lagrange point 1 is where we'll find the SOHO. So here's the coronagraph from stereo A, and you can see a halo mostly around the southern portion. This is at Lagrange point 5. And for you new viewers, the Earth would be off in this direction. And you can see actually one of the coronal mass ejections is barely even visible on this because, again, there were 2. So one of them is oriented almost directly towards stereo A, and the other one is pretty much on the opposite side of the sun from stereo A, so it's not particularly visible. So here's the difference image, and this is just pixels subtracted from previous pixels. It doesn't really show you it that great. So let's go back to Lagrange point 1, where SOHO is located. And again, that's the location of Lagrange point 1 there, about 1 million miles away from the Earth, 92 million from the sun, in between Earth and sun. And we'll bring up 2 separate animations here. First, the C2 coronagraph. And you can see one of those coronal mass ejections kind of headed out in this direction, and the other one headed out in this direction. Once again, neither of those appear to have an Earth-facing, an Earth striking component, I'll say. So one looks like it'll miss to the southeast, and the other looks like it will miss to the west. But the one that will miss Earth to the southeast will strike stereo A, most likely. And here's the LASCO C3. You can also see Venus moving into the frame there, but most importantly, the coronal mass ejection. The most significant one would be the one that came out of the northern limb of the sun. You can see it headed out here to the west. And you can see this other one headed out here to the southeast. Again, neither appear to be Earth-facing in nature. So here's the first ejection, which really the filament originated around the sun from the southeastern limb. The filament was not even really visible here. And you can see this in the upper left of your screen there. Right there, you can see the eruption of the first coronal mass ejection. That's the one that looks like it will strike stereo A. And we'll also show you a custom view of this area up here, where the other coronal mass ejection appears to have occurred from. And here is the other point where a filamentary eruption happened. This one was around the northwest limb of the sun. You can also see sunspot 2804 moving into view there in your upper left screen. And here's one more close-up from the SDO browse data. And that southwest limb has got quite a lot of filaments on it. There's also a massive amount of filaments underneath sunspot 2805 in this area. So lots of activity, no shortage of that. And again, folks, the coronal mass ejection watch does not expire with this. Sorry, we can't really divulge the method by which we forecast coronal mass ejections. And we'll close things out with a view from Lagrange point 1 at the SOHO. So here's the LASCO C3. Great view of that coronal mass ejection expected to miss the Earth to the west. So we'll Be keeping an eye on the solar wind data to see if NOAA and most solar forecasters were correct about the coronal mass ejection scheduled to strike today, as I disagreed with practically everybody in the government and on the internet about that coronal mass ejection strike. We'll see. It hasn't struck yet, but that's today's Daily Space Weather Supplemental. And if you're a new viewer, don't forget to press like and subscribe. Please share the content on your social media. Tell your friends and foes, science noobs and science pros, about the information, about the channel. And we'll be coming at you soon. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive.